Antoine is going to be crowned your WOR Season 10 champion.
And history's been made. Ballina, the first WOR PS4 champion. What a championship! What a season! Absolutely phenomenal.
Good evening everyone and welcome along to live coverage here of WOR on the PC. It's tier number 1 and we must apologise before we get going, we're a little bit late, we're behind schedule. We've not got the ever reliable George Morgan with us today. It's myself, Ginger Addy, and I'm joined by Jack Canan for this one. Jack, it should be a cracker, shouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Delighted to be here first time WOR alongside yourself, Andy. And yeah, it's been ages since I've done Canada as well. Fantastic to see it back. And really stacked grid of 20 drivers. We're just in qualifying at the moment. We're behind schedule a little bit on our end, but of course, not having the ever reliable George Morgan means that we've had to really put this kind of tape this stream together, so to speak, Andy. We finally got it going.
Yeah, we have. Let's jump into the race scene. Guys, I'm new to this. I'm going to do the best I can to give you guys a good show. As Jack says, we're papering over a few cracks, but hopefully you don't notice too many of them as we get out here for qualifying for Q1. And of course, as always, we do have 3 sessions of qualifying in the top tier here in WOR. Q1, Q2 and Q3. Let's see how the drivers get on around this Canadian Grand Prix circuit, Jack. It is one of the old school tracks on the calendar. The barriers are pretty close by as well. Sort of a street track style to the place. A bit like Melbourne in that sense, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's very similar to Melbourne in that case. The walls are very close on either side. It's ready to greet you to make, and any sort of mistake that you make, it will punish you. It will punish you very hard, especially in sector number 2 there with the walls on either side. Around turn 3, 4, 5, especially the S's, where we saw Sebastian Vettel make an error back in 2018 over at that part of the circuit as well. But the drivers are in Q1 at the moment. Plenty of guys doing runs on the medium compound tires as well. A couple of drivers doing intermediate runs as well. But the current standings as it stands at the moment in qualifying, Shanika Clay the fastest man ahead of Luke Smith. So Aston Martin 1-2, 107.9 on the mediums for Shanika Clay. Luke Smith 108.106, and then it's Andreas Dormeyer P3 and Arno Molinar. But Hawk takes it to the top on a 107.8 on the medium compound run, so very good job from those guys. But lots of drivers opting for that medium compound run on the first runs and avoiding the soft tire if at all possible. I think it'd be unusual, I think, to see too much of the soft tire, maybe in Q3 only, but I think the tire of choice at the moment seems to be those mediums.
Yep, there are a few people saying you're a little bit quiet, Jack. I've tried to turn you up on the audio output, so if you guys in the chat can help us out, please do. Give me some feedback. Tell me if Jack's sounding a little bit louder now. But yeah, qualifying well underway, and we are on medium tyres for much of the top runners, and Jake Benham pops up to the top of the timings with a 107.764, and he is really in top form at the minute, isn't he, Jake Benham? One of the rising stars in the world of F1 esports in that Mercedes, and he will be one of the favourites today, won't he, Jack?
He absolutely will, yeah, and he's carrying an advantage over Alvaro Carreton into this round, of course, and Alvaro Carreton not on the grid today, so he's even got a big opportunity to extend his lead in the championship as well, which is ideal from his point of view in this phase of the championship as well. His teammate Valentin Bruffaert pops into third there in a 107.872, but you have Alessia Di Capua in the Williams today alongside the other driver of, just having a quick look down the order, it'll be the car of Chana Kinchi, who's in the car at Williams, of course, as well. So good job from those. Oscar Marino in that Williams today, and no Alvaro Carreton, but Alessia Di Capua filling in at Williams as Timon Shootout goes up at the top, just 1,000th of a second behind Hawks there in P2. So very, very close, and expect qualifying to be very, very tight. Just a 1:07 lap around here, one of the shortest laps on the calendar. And yeah, it's going to be very close in Q3 especially.
Yeah, we'll be very close throughout all of the sessions here in WR as we keep an eye on Ruben Pedreño now. He's out there in that McLaren attacking the middle part of this lap, and yeah, it's a fantastic circuit. Plenty of overtaking opportunities as well round here, and as I mentioned as well, it's very easy to rub up against the barriers and make mistakes. High speed apexes as well, high speed chicanes, another thing that can cause corner cut penalties, and you need to be really consistent round here, Jack, don't you? Because if you get a little bit wide and cut a few corners, you will not be long in mounting up the time penalties, and that can really get you the better of you around this kind of circuit, can't it?
Yeah, of course it can, and you can even the circuit, especially the bit that Ruben Pedreño is heading down to now, especially this last chicane with the Wall of Champions ready to greet you on the outside. That is a place where you can pick up a plethora of penalties if you get it wrong. Pedreño goes to 8th on a 107.969, just behind Dario Yamulo in the AlphaTauri. So very, very close. 3 drivers in the same 10th of a second, then 4 drivers in the same 10th of a second from Hawks down to Matthias van Erven in the Haas in P5 at the moment. So it's all about being in the top 15 drivers. Bottom 5 get eliminated in this part of qualifying, and the aim for most of these guys is to get through on a single run on these tires. You don't want, if at all possible, you want to minimize the runs you do in Q1 and Q2 especially, so you've got that extra set of tires to do another run in Q3 just in case something goes wrong. So guys like Jake Benham have done that time on a single run in qualifying, and they could just chill in the garage for the rest of Q1.
Yeah, it's interesting that Hawk has not done that, and he's actually gone straight back out on another set of tyres. Whether it's the same set, I'm not too sure, but he's now out there and beginning a flying lap despite that 1:07.8. So that's quite interesting, isn't it, to see some people, Jake Benham, as you touched on, in the pits, not coming back out, and others are quite happy to come back out. So HX4K is one of them, and he's out there attacking hard as Ruben Pedreño on a second lap has gone and done a 1:7.830. And I suppose on these medium tyres, there's a little bit more life in them. You can keep going as HX4K makes his way around as Shinaka Clay pops to the top of the timings now on a 1:07.690 in the Aston Martin, lighting up the sector times, and he is looking good at the minute. But there's so much pressure on them, Jack, as well, because as you say, they only want to use one set of tyres. We've got 6 drivers at the bottom of the timing sheets without a lap time yet. One run, and if you get it wrong, you're going to be sitting there for the rest of the session.
Yeah, that's the problem. You want to avoid invalidating your first couple of runs, and invalidations are the bane of these guys' existence at the moment, and it's very easy to do it around here. So plenty of drivers going for kind of 2 runs, it seems, on these sets of tyres. Shanaka Clay is doing a run on a set of tyres that have done 3 laps already, so wow. He's out there just scrubbing the tyres in by the looks of it. He's obviously not going to use this set by the looks of it in the race. He's just getting used to how the mediums are coming together for him. But the top 5 are all on mediums, and it seems now that the top 11 drivers, have all set times on the mediums. Arno Molliner is the next driver that set a time on the soft compound tire, but no sign of the top guys using those soft tires just yet, and I don't expect to see them until a bit later in the qualifying session, as it's getting a little bit tight round up near the hairpin, with a couple of drivers just having to avoid some traffic there. But one car has actually now re-emerged on the circuit with a set of soft compound tires. Valentin Proufer and the Mercedes, a couple of drivers sitting in the pit lane with soft tires bolted on the cars, while Luke Smith's re-emerged on the circuit on the soft compound tires. So these guys running the mediums in for a lap or 2. Jake Ben was re-emerged out on another set of medium tires. So I suppose the lap is so short, as Thomas Harvey now pops to the top on 107.4 on the softs. It seems because the track is so short, you can go out for another run without taking too much life out of these mediums, it seems.
Yeah, and I know everyone else is bolting on a set of soft tyres and really going quickly. Thomas Harvey quickest, Oscar Marino now goes second quickest in the Williams. Shinaka Clay third. They're all dropping down the order. Jake Benham is on an out lap on a set of medium tyres. We've still got a number of drivers without a time yet. The likes of Lefted, Yari Fitz, Louis Welsh, Shanna Kenchi, all yet to do a lap time here as we come towards the closing stages of this qualifying session. So, Jake Benham on an out lap at the minute, and we've got 2 times, really competitive times, on a set of soft compound tyres, as Jake Benham now heads across the line, and he, interestingly, goes for another run then on the mediums, not fazed by the fact that many of the other drivers around him are now going quicker than him on the soft tyres. So this is a very important lap then for Jake Benham, Jack.
It is, yeah, and he's trying to avoid using the soft tyre, but everyone around him is bolting on soft tyres now, so he needs to get a really fast time in here. He's up by nearly a tenth in the first sector here, Jake Benham. Very neat and tidy from him there out on the power. That's a tricky corner on the exit right there. The camera drags you out towards the wall. DRS Valentin Brufair up to the top of 107.384 in Q1. That should see him safely through to Q2, but the medium guys that are still out there are kind of running a bit of a risk right now, because this will be their last runs that they'll be able to do. 2 minutes to go in qualifying, so if Jake Benham wants, he can go for another lap, but he might not have the ERS to do it. He has got 70% of the battery though, so he can go if he wants to, but he's running a very big risk now, because all of the drivers around him have all bolted on softs and are going out for another run. So Jake Benham really needs a really good time here to keep himself in the top 15. Round through the wall of champions, grazes it a little bit on the exit. Up towards the line comes Jake Benham. Is it enough? It's at 107.554 on the mediums, and that should be safe. He can get through on a medium set without using a set of softs. That's a big advantage heading into Q2, Q3.
Yeah, I'll be delighted to see that Luke Smith has gone slower than him, so that's one car already that you wouldn't expect to get ahead of him. Maybe a little bit annoyed he was behind Oscar Marino, who's obviously abandoned that lap. It's Shanaka Clay now pushes on a set of soft compound tyres. It's so strange at the end of this session to have so few laps being done. Usually there's some kind of target lap time for us to aim for here, but there isn't at the minute. What would you say, a 107.6, something like that? I would say so.
Yeah, but it looks of it. Well, Andreas Dormar is on the cusp of a 108.1, but that time's going to fall very quickly. Matthijs van Erven up to the top of 107.351. Shanaka Clay is about to smash it, though. Up towards the line comes the Aston Martin driver. Shanaka Clay goes up to a 107.174, so that blows it out of the water already in Q1. But now that drops Jake Benham to P6. He should still be safe, but plenty of drivers out on improvements. Hawk's out there. Timon Schutte is out on an improvement. Lewis Welch is slightly down on his time. Tom Martinez down on his time. Andreas Dormeyer is on the cusp, but he's not going to get another lap in by the looks of it. So we'll have to wait to see if anybody else can improve. Arno Molliner is on an out lap, and he's only just going to make the line by the looks of it here. Yari Fitz needs an improvement too. Alessio De Capua is not going to improve. He's retired from the session. So it's looking like Tom Martinez. Yeah, here comes Tom Martinez now to, I believe, start a lap here. Hawk goes to second. Tom Martinez will get enough time to get another lap in here. So he goes for his flying lap. Just gets across the line with about 2 to 3 seconds left, and he's on the bubble on a 107.937. But looking likely that time's going to fall to a 107.8. Looks like it's going to be the cutoff, maybe.
Yeah, well, Shano Kinski is, he's done a 107.6, and he will not be going again, as Louis Welch will not be going again on that 107.9. So the checkered flag beginning to fall on a number of these drivers. Arno Molliner is off, he is out. De Capua is out as well. Lefton is out, so we're not really seeing big improvements from some of the drivers out there. Straight into the pits, by the way, as came Andreas Dormeyer. His section is over as well. So Tom Martinez just needs to find a couple of tenths and he should get through. Not even a couple of tenths, a few hundreds, and he should be through. So many drivers without a really representative lap time below some of these, below Tom Martinez. So he just needs to do that 1:07.907 done by Samuel Bean, and he will knock him clean out of qualifying. So here comes Tom Martinez into the final chicane, rubs up against the wall of champions, and now we'll head to the line. Is he going through? Yes, he is. P12. It's bye-bye to Samuel Bean, as he took the risk on the medium tyre, and it has not paid off, Jack.
Yeah, and just by 5/1000 he gets knocked out in Q1. Samuel Bean will not see Q2. Andreas Dormeyer is knocked out. Arno Molliner is also knocked out. Alessio De Capua, who is also out of the session unbelievably and left it, has also not set a time in this race, with Shanaka Clay setting the initial pace on a 107.174, but nicely done by Jake Benham. Didn't use a set of the softs at all, and he's gone through into Q2 without using a set of the soft compound tires. He'll have an extra set available to him either in Q3 if he wants it, or also in the race.
Yep, so Samuel Bean dropping out with that medium tyre, and as you say, very, very, very small margin, 0.005 of a second, and he is out of qualifying as they move into the next part of qualifying. Let's just jump into the chat scene while we wait to get back into qualifying for Q2. In fact, before we do that, what am I doing? I'm still getting used to this. Let's have a look at the actual standings then. Shinaka Clay, quickest of all. HX4K was second. Matthias Van Erven, then Valentin Bruffer, Luke Smith, Thomas Harvey, Simon Shooter, Dario Yumulo, Oscar Marino, Jake Benham on the medium tyre, the quickest of the drivers that did a lap on the medium at a 107.5. Chana Kinshi, Tom Martinez, he'll be delighted to get through. Yari Fitz, Ruben Pedreño, Louis Welsh, and the bottom 5, as we touched on. Samuel Bean didn't get it working on the mediums. Andreas Dormeyer as well, never really got a proper time in the 1 minute 8. Arnold Mulliner, he spun off, same problem. Alessio Di Capua didn't really get a lap in at all and left it no time either. And that is that for Q1 then, Jack. So I'm sure we'll see a lot more running in Q2. Drivers saving a lot of tyres out there.
Yeah, see, I think there's a reason why some of them have opted not to go for soft tyre, because we are hearing it's going to be a wet race. So that would make a lot of sense as to why there's a lot of mixing and matching in the tyre sets at the minute, because you don't want to use a set of inters when you need them. That's normally we see that in Q1. Yeah. The drivers will use a set of intermediates out in Q1 to avoid using a set of dries. Now the total opposite, they're using dries to avoid using the inters, which is very unusual.
Yeah, very, very strange indeed. So we must be expecting some rain then ahead of the Grand Prix, which will really spice things up, won't it? And it's a track, of course, where the walls are close, and there's every possibility these guys could make a few mistakes, but they are pretty class, these drivers. They don't make many, as the cars are now heading back out for the second part of qualifying. Let's jump back into the race scene then, and you can see the beautiful conditions that greet us at the minute here in Montreal as some of the cars make their way out onto the pits. And the first man out there, I believe, is Shinaka Clay. So let's pick him up then. And he's one of the quick guys we expect to be fighting towards the front, Jack. He could be a potential challenger for pole position. No Alvaro Caraton today. A few absences, as Luke has mentioned in the chat. And that's a big opportunity for the likes of Shinaka Clay and Jake Benham to steal a march in the championship, isn't it?
It is, yeah, but obviously it's an opportunity now as well for Shanaka Clay to kind of put a spanner in the works, maybe start fighting away up the front with these guys. Of course, Shanaka, part of the Aston Martin esports team officially for this season, for the F1 esports season, so he's obviously in full practice. Canada being one of the tracks that is on the F1 esports calendar, so probably spent a good few hours sinking into this one as well. So plenty of drivers will have put some time and effort into running setups and stuff around this particular track as they come down. Now Shanaka Clay coming through the last corner now, gonna now unleash the pace, and it's very nice if you can get a good banker in the first lap of Q2, and he's just going to make sure he tries to avoid the invalidation here, but get a good banker in Q2, and again avoid using too many tire sets if you possibly can, because it's always nice to have an extra set of soft tires available in Q3 for you, just in case lap 1 doesn't get yourself together. But a Q2 banker that's up there as a 107.1 is the aim for him. That's his personal best time in this session, but I reckon it could be a case we're going to sneak into the 106s by the end of today.
Yeah, I think we will. You're absolutely right. We should be into the 106s. I mean, that's usually what happens, isn't it? Q1, they get their eye in, the top drivers, then Q2, they build up, and then by Q3, it all rises to the occasion, and they really do set some blistering lap times. And I think you're absolutely right. We'll be in the 106s, no problem at all. Will it be straight out the back, though? Straight out of the pits, and on the opening lap for Shinaka Clay in Q2. Let's see then as he makes his way now towards the Wall of Champions, into that final chicane, throwing it in there right up against the barrier. He's on rails out there as he comes up to the line. Shortest route, it's a 107.4 to open his account for the session. A solid opening effort from Shinaka Clay, but there will be quicker times than that.
Yeah, there will be. That's a very good banker effort from Shanaka Clay. So he's got a delta to work with it now as well. That's also a key point. Just to see whether you're red or green in the sectors. Ruben Pedreño is the next car to cross the line to set a time. He goes to a 107.5. Just behind him is Valentin Bruffer, who goes to a 107.2 as the first effort. Great effort from Valentin Bruffer in the Mercedes, and Chana Kinshi with a 107.805 as the first effort. But I think even with that, I think Valentin Bruffer could be safe through with that lap alone, because a 107.2 is a very strong banker lap there. Couple of guys trying mediums as well. Hawk, Luke Smith is trying it on the medium, as is Yari Fitz as well. Dario Yumulo and Simon Shooter, and Now just trying to see any others as well. Everyone's out on the circuit actually. It's going to get a little bit busy around the last sector.
Yeah, and as Jake Benham actually tried to do it on mediums too, but he's cut the final corner and Jari Fitz is about to start a flying lap. So a sore one there for Jake Benham. A bit of a setback on those medium tyres. I'll be glad it's not a set of softs though. He's gone and wasted. But you're absolutely right. That's a great opening effort from Valentin Proufaire, and it could be enough, and it should be enough, you'd think, to see him through and into the next part of qualifying. Great effort there. And the rest of them might just have to go again. What do you think, Jack? What are you going to say for your target lap time to get into Q2?
I reckon we're looking. I think we're going to be talking about mid 107s as the cutoff here.
Yeah.
So I think a 107.5. I think is cutoff for the top 10, which is a rapid time, even so. But I think that's going to be your cutoff, close to it at the very least. And Jake Benham is out on his time lap now, and I don't know if he's actually going to bother setting this time here because he's just caught up in some traffic here. So I think he's going to have to back off of that.
I think he's
and go again. But he is trying to get a slipstream. Yeah, he's not opening DRS. He's going to go again.
Yeah, I think he might even come straight into the pits now that he's wasted those. Yeah, he's coming straight in. I think he invalidated the lap earlier on. We didn't see it on the stream, but he did invalidate. And with 10 minutes to go, a little bit of pressure on Jake Benham out there then, as he makes his way into the pits. It's not gone to plan at all. So, you know, as you said, Jack, you want to get that banker in nice and early, just like his teammate Valentin Proufaire has done. And he is now in a fantastic position to just put his feet up and get ready, potentially, for Q3. So, Valentin Proufaire impressing at the minute. Jari Fitz, meanwhile, is out there in the McLaren, and he's pushing hard up to that first sector, and he's 1/10 up on his previous best up till now, which is a 1:84. It's not setting the world alight, a 1:84. You'll need to be going quicker than that. And as Jack said, we're looking somewhere in the mid 1:07s to get yourself into the next part of qualifying as he flings it into that chicane. Rear end sliding. So easy to lose the rear and bounce up against the barrier there. We've seen that many times in Formula 1, and then opening out into this wonderful hairpin. It's almost like a stadium-like section. The fans rising on their feet. And then he blasts out of there and down this long straight, which is probably one of the best overtaking opportunities on the track, Jack, isn't it? Down towards the final chicane and probably into turn one. The two best opportunities to make a move.
Yeah, it's too tight around the rest of the lap here. Here comes Jari Fitz. This is where he lost time in the previous lap. He went too wide of the wall of champion chicane. Now he gets it all nice and neat and tidy and goes to P8 on a 107.849. And just to point out as well, a very good time from Time Shooter, 107.790, wow. But that is on a set of medium tyres by Time Shooter. So if he can get through on that, I don't think he feels like he's going to be safe though. He's come directly back out on a set of soft compound tyres. That's definitely not going to be enough to make it through.
Yeah, exactly. So he's come straight out on soft tyres, but it's still a reasonable effort, and it's one to look for, isn't it? You know, you see that kind of lap time on mediums, and it makes you think, okay, that's certainly one of the men that could be contending up towards the front come Q3. But who's caught your eye at the minute then for Paul? I know we're not in Q3 yet, Jack, but who are you looking at and thinking, yeah, that's quite impressive? It's got to be Valentin Proufaire at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely Valentin Proufaire. Impressive pace, and he's outpaced Shanika Clay at the moment, but of course this is only Q2. Jake Benham, still no time on the board for him yet, and he's just kind of sizing up to a lap right now. It's getting a little bit of traffic through the last corner now as a number of cars begin their second runs. Chanakinchi begins his time and shoot, and not too far behind him. Ruben Pedreño's on his way down there as well. Hawk is the first man out on the second time lap, and he's already nearly a 10th up in the first sector. So he needs, as we said, the cutoff we're aiming to a 107.5, 107.6 is looking to be your cutoff. So it looks like everybody is now coming back out on a set of softs. It doesn't look like the mediums will have quite enough to get through here. The deficit too large around a lap this short.
Yep, and here comes HX4K, and he's purple through the second sector, 2 and a bit tenths up on his previous best, and this could be a lap more than good enough to see him into the next part of qualifying as he opens up the DRS on that Red Bull, and he might get a slight tow, not much, from the car in front, which is Dario Yamilo, who invalidated his lap. He was the very first man to start a brand new lap. Look at the speed. HX4K, he's cut the corner, and his lap is ruined, and that is what can happen around Canada with these high-speed chicanes. One little bit overstepping the mark and you ruin your whole lap. Chanakinchi, can he get through the final chicane? He can, and he's looking pretty tidy here to take the shortest route for the line. What's it going to be? He goes P2 with a 107.348. Good effort from Chanakinchi, and that should see him through as Marino now goes third.
Yeah, and now the cutoff kind of now is beginning to fall a little bit. 107.3 for Chanakinchi. Oscar Marino, very good lap, 107. 107.355. Ruben Pedreño has backed out of his lap. Time and Shootout as well. They all invalidated their times by the looks of it. Matthias van Erven is the man who's on the bubble at the moment, P10 for the Haas driver, and he needs to get himself up the order a little bit here as he flings it through, gets right up against that wall on the way out of the corner, rubbing it on the grass. He's 2 and a bit tenths up on his best time, which is great for him. Tom Martinez, that's a brilliant lap, 107.485, just behind Shanika Clay in front of Ruben Pedreño, 107.485. Might just be enough to get through here into Q3, which would be a brilliant job for Tom Martinez. But Matthias van Erven on a very good improvement here. Needs to keep the last chicane neat and tidy. That's nicely between the walls there. Rubs it up against the wall of champions. Comes to the line now, Matthias van Erven, and he goes to P7, 107.669. That might not be enough to get through here, though.
Yeah, I think you might be right, but well done to Tom Martinez. A 107.485, and he's looking good. He's looking really good for a potential spot in Q3, and that is a big surprise, no doubt about it. He's not there yet, but he's making a very good statement about getting there, as Jake Benham only just beats it with a 107.4 of his own, and he is now through and up into the top 10 as things stand. But yeah, that looks like a 107.5, 107, somewhere around there could be the target, and Pedreño, he might have to go again with that in 7th. I think a lot of them will. We get more lap times coming in, and Pedreño has now gone 4th quickest on a 107.3, so the times are really tumbling here.
Yeah, and Luke Smith was on a lap, but he's invalidated it, so he's come straight back into the pit lane here. So now it's kind of the last few minutes or seconds of Q2, really. So you got to be in the top 10 here, and I think Shanika Clay might be a little bit worried here. I wonder, is he going to come out again? Because really, he's in P6. He should be safe for now. Time and Shooter has come back into pit lane. And I wonder, is he going to come out again? Or some of these guys might be happy to just settle for P11 and P12. So it may be the case that they will aim for that rather than going into Q3. It's a valid strategy as well to have the benefit of the alternate strategy in the race. But of course, the race, we're thinking, it could start in the wet and go to dry, or it'll start in the dry and go to wet. We're not exactly sure of the conditions just yet. 3 minutes in qualifying left. So still plenty of time for these guys to go on laps. And, well, HX4K is the only man who's out on the circuit right now who's about to go on a timed lap. So he's got the track to himself, clean air in front, clean air behind, exactly what you want. Yeah,
I've just seen Thomas Harvey. He's completed a lap there. It was a 107.1, but he must have invalidated out there. So it does show the track is ramping up, and there is time to be found out there. And I'm beginning to think that even a 107.5 might not be enough to get through here. Look how close they are, some of the drivers in the field here. 107.3 from Chanakenshi in P2 all the way down to P7. We're talking about a 10th of a second here, and it could be that someone even in that group might not make their way into the next part of qualifying. It is going to be a wild end to this qualifying session. It is so tight as HX4K begins his final lap, and we're about to see some fireworks here in qualifying 2, aren't we?
We certainly are. Through Sector 1 comes HX4K, looking very good, and he's a 10th and a half up on his best time here, HX4K. Now through Sector 2 he comes now, rubbing the wall on the exit of turn number 4 and 5, up towards now the right-hander underneath the bridge. Very tricky corner, very easy to invalidate through here. Gets it nice and neat and tidy between the curbs right there, using it to his advantage. Now down towards the hairpin spot, and you're braking on the left, braking just at the 100 board, flicking it in down to second gear, short shift up to third gear, back on the power again he goes, and down towards the wall of champions he goes now. DRS will open for him now, and down into the last 2 corners he will go, and hopefully he keeps it nice and tidy, avoids the invalidation. 203 miles an hour, flicks it into the last corner, gets on the power, gets it right next to the wall. Very tidy lap from HX4K here. Where does he go? He goes up to the top, 107.152. Proper tidy lap, found 7/10 of a second in one lap there.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, we saw a moment ago, well, I saw Thomas Harvey do a 107.1 moments ago. It was invalidated, and it shows there is speed there. And I think there's a few people on sugary pegs out there. And we spoke how well Tom Martinez had done. Well, I'm beginning to wonder if that 107.4 will be enough now. He's down in 8th place with that time. But here comes Louis Welsh. We've yet to see a proper time from him, and he's out there now going 7/10 quicker than his previous best. He'll need to have some final sector if he wants to make it through and into the final part of qualifying. The pad god makes his way down the back straight now with the DRS wide open on the Ferrari. The prancing horse galloping up towards that final chicane. Louis Welsh, 15th at the minute, needs a time to see him through, and he's cut the final chicane, and he is out of qualifying, and he will be 15th on the grid. Game over for him.
Yeah, that is a real shame. Lewis Welch was looking like a very tidy lap there. Timon shoots about to come through the last chicane now. Where is he going to go? He sits P11 at the moment. He's 0.3 of a second up on his best. Gets a little bit loose through the last chicane. Up to the line now. Can he make it through to Q3? It looks like it could be safe here. Up to P6 at 107.385. He goes to cut-off time 107.6. Matthijs van Erven's on his way to the line right now. He's the man sitting P10. Does he improve? He does to a 107.570, but still remains in P10. So still very close across the board here, and a number of others are still not safe, and namely Jake Benham could not be safer. He's caught traffic in the last chicane.
Oh, Yanni Fitz now puts him down to 9th place, so he's under massive amounts of pressure. Is Jake Benham going to go out in Q1? Matthijs van Erven is someone that can deny him. Who else can deny him out there? Thomas Harvey is starting a flying lap. Dario Yumulo is starting a flying lap. Jake Benham is in trouble here. He's starting another lap now, so this is going to get very, very interesting. Tom Martinez starting another lap. What's Matthijs van Erven doing? He's a fraction down on his previous best, up to the middle sector. He needs an almighty final sector, otherwise it could be game over for him. The Haas driver then making his way down the back straight towards the end of the lap. Can he try and knock Tom Martinez out for now? There are others out there on laps improving. Here comes Van Erven then, up to the final corner, shortest route to the line, P11. Does he improve? Yes, he goes up to 4th. What a time from him. Benham has backed out. He's just going to have to hope and pray.
Yeah, he caught Luke Smith in the last corner, and he was absolutely fuming with him. Here comes Dario Yumulo. This could be the man to knock Jake Benham out. He might have invalidated here. Here he goes to the line here. He's not made it. Luke Smith, does he do it? He doesn't do it. It could be still safe. The only man who could maybe do it are the two Ferraris, Lewis Welch and Tom Martinez. Can they knock Jake Benham out of Q2 here? And up to the line comes Tom Martinez. I don't think he's going to improve here. Martinez will not make it in. What about Lewis Welch? Does he make it in his Ferrari? He comes to the line. No! Jake Benham survives just about on a 107.465 and makes it into Q2, a Q3 by 2/100ths of a second. He has survived a very scary moment there and makes it through to Q3. And but I don't think he's going to be I don't think he's going to be happy at all with the Aston Martin of Luke Smith coming to the last corner on a push lap. Had to back out, but he makes it in nonetheless. But that's the last thing he needed in Q2.
Oh, wow, what an end to the qualifying session in Q2 that was. Could you imagine Tom Martinez, the content creator, we know he's quick, could you imagine he knocked out Jake Benham? That would have been some storyline, but in the end, Jake Benham survives by the skin of his teeth, and that is why it's so important to get a lap in nice and early. Valentin Bruffer did that 1 minute 7.2 at the start of the session, sat in the garage with a popcorn and watched it all unfold, and it's unfolded like this. It's HX 4K on top with a 107.1, a fraction quicker than Shanna Kinchie, who's had a really good qualifying session, it must be said. Valentin Bruffer is 3rd, Matthijs van Erven is 4th, we've got Shanaka Clay in 5th, Oscar Marino, Ruben Pedreño, Simon Shooter, Yanni Fitz and Jake Benham go through. Tom Martinez, Luke Smith, Louis Welsh, Thomas Harvey and Dario Yumulo are out at the second part of qualifying, and wow, just by the skin of his teeth, Jake Benham through.
Yeah, but also we can't take away that's a good qualifying stuff from Tom Martinez. He has the coveted P11 spot, free choice of tyre for Tom Martinez. So not all is not lost there, and he only lost out by 2/100ths of a second. So I think he can be still happy with his qualifying there, Tom Martinez. But yeah, great job by the top two, HX4K and Shanna Kinchie in the 107.1s in Q2. So this is going to be a very, very close Q3 here in Canada. Both Mercedes are in. One Aston Martin, one McLaren, one Haas, and then the two Alpine. We got two Alpines in there. Two Alpines, yeah, and the the Alpine, Williams, and Red Bull are all in this one in this session. So Q3, it's all about, did you save enough softs to go for enough runs here in Q3? And the first Mercedes of Valentin Bruffair straight out onto the circuit, and this strategy worked for him last time. Get a fast time in early, and then just sit back and watch the chaos unfold.
Yeah, well, he certainly, no doubt about it, will have tyres to burn. He's been sensational so far in qualifying as Valentin Bruffair starts an outlap, and that's good reason to jump back into the race scene for you guys. There we go. We are underway for Q3. Okay, come on, tell us, folks. We're always interested to hear what you think in the comment section. Is John Evans going to get pole position? Let's wait and see. What are we saying on that one? Is WR make a prediction? Let's hear everyone's predictions. Who is going for pole position? What kind of lap time do you think it will need to be for pole position? Surely, Jack, a 106 is coming up very, very soon.
Yeah, I think so. I think somebody's going to sneak into it. I'm not exactly sure who, though, at this point, who's going to get in the 106.9s. But at the very least, we can expect a 107.0, I think, is what we can at least expect for pole position here in WOR as they now come down towards the line to begin their first flying laps. Valentin Bruffair, well, he lets Ruben Pedreño go this time. Ruben Pedreño is going to be the first man to get across the start-finish line to begin as though he's going to come straight back into pit lane, actually. So just as a sighter lap and come straight back into the pit lane there. But Valentin Bruffair, he took a bit extra time to get temperature in the tyres, and now he goes for his push lap with Shanika Clay right on his tail. And interesting different lines there on the way down the pit straight even. Valentin Bruffair gone towards the outside. Shanika Clay right up against the pit wall as they came down towards turn 1.
Yeah, incredible, isn't it? It's going to be some lap here from Valentin Bruffair. He's been the man to beat so far in qualifying, and he's been straight out the box, absolutely rapid, particularly in that second part of qualifying. Let's see what he can do at the business end. We're talking 1 minute 60s, we believe, might be possible from some of these guys in this final session. Valentin Bruffair pushing hard, almost kicking up the dirt there. In fact, he did kick up some dirt, using all the track and some more as he makes his way down into the second sector timing beam, and he's looking very, very quick. The rear end sliding a little bit there from Bruffair. I think he got too much curb going through the hairpin, and that will hurt his traction all the way down this long back straight as he opens up the DRS, the Mercedes engine singing. What is this early sighter going to be from Valentin Bruffair? What are they going to be aiming for as he makes his way around the final couple of corners up to the line? What is the target time then? Bruffair to the line, and it's only a 176. Shanika Clay meanwhile with a 172, and it's first blood to him between those two.
Yeah, Valentin's kind of first sector wasn't the neatest, and he knows that he missed the apex a couple of times through that first sector, so he knows where he can gain on this lap. 107.2, the first lap by Shanika Clay, but it seems like the tip for pole is on a lap right now. John Evans out on a time, and we'll see what his time is. 18.773 in the first sector in the Red Bull, and he's backed out of it straight away. He's not happy with it for the first sector. He grazed the wall a little bit as well, things get a little bit tight. Keep people on push-ups. They're getting closer. 107.233 for Jake Benham out of the box. He gets a lap in early, avoiding the mistake he made in Q2.
Wow, well, I don't know if you've seen that out in the final corner there, but there is time in that 107.2. He was hitting the barrier. He was against the barrier, going down the grass quite long after the the actual chicane itself. So there must be time in that from Jake Benham. He must have lost a couple of tenths there. That was a major moment for him on that lap as we wait to see who else can deliver a top time. HX4K, as you say, backed out of that one. What about Chanakinchi? He is out there pushing pretty hard. Ruben Pedreño as well, but he's on an outlap, so we'll go straight to Chan Akinci as he makes his way round the final couple of corners and heads towards that line. Doesn't look like it's going to be very quick though, and it's only a 107.6 from Chan Akinci to open his account, and at the minute it's Jake Benham with that 107.2 on top.
Yeah, Matthias van Erven goes to P3, 2.52. Look at that, top three within the same tenth of a second. As there's a time and shooter out of nowhere, 107. We haven't seen that pace from Time and Shooter yet. He goes to the top. 107.155 is the current benchmark time. But we reckon that's going to tumble in the second part of qualifying, as these guys that's their first banker laps in Q3, which is that's a superb time from Time and Shoot. He's left that to when he needs it, and that is a fantastic effort in those sectors there. Ruben Pedreño, I'm not sure if he's going to finish out his lap here, but Oscar Marino is also about to finish his lap. He's on a very slow lap by the looks of it, just kind of taking it easy. Now begins his push lap. Ruben Pedreño having a look. He's definitely on a push lap here, up towards the last corner. He's going to chuck it in here, but gets it very wide on the way through, and that's going to cost him a good couple of tenths. 107.323. There's time in that as well. For 107.323. The massive oversteer. That's at least a tenth and a half for Ruben Pedreño there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just stunned how close it is. I mean, I keep getting stunned every week. I watch this league. It is incredibly close, and again, very, very tight at the front. But there's no doubt about it, there is time in some of these laps, particularly that of Jake Benham. It looked really out. It was wild in the final corner, and he still put it on the front row. So I would suggest a 1:06 might be possible from him, as Oscar Marino is now on a quick lap, and he is now pushing hard to the tune of 4 seconds quicker than his previous best, and that's no surprise given his best in this session so far is a 1:13.6. He's just been bringing the tyres into the window. Only he and HX4K have yet to do a representative lap time then. So the target, Time and Shooter, 107.155 with 5 minutes to go, and the rear end all over the place again from Oscar Marino up to the line. Where's he going? He goes 6th. Another man in the 1:07.3s. Wow, it's so close. 2 tenths covering the top 6, and the rear was everywhere, Jack.
Yeah, he was trying to carry as much speed as he could through there, and it just got away from him on the way through, but well held. Used the wall to help him, but now just one man out on a hot lap, and that is John Evans, HX4K, trying to get his time on the board, a proper time on the board. 18.630 on the first sector. That's very neat and tidy as he comes through these corners right now. Onto the power again. HX4K set the pace in Q2. The 107.1 is the benchmark in Q3 for him now. Chucks it into the next sector, gets it nice and tidy through that section now, up towards the hairpin. What's his middle sector going to be? It's going to be upwards of 39.692. It's kind of on the pace. Marino gets out of the way there for him, well out of the way for him there, and now it's just a case of run for the line, and they're already thinking about that last sector here.
He's back out.
HX4K, but he's backing out of it. Yeah, he really wants this perfect lap, and he's pushing the limits here, HX4K, but he's going to have to come back straight back into pit lane, or he's going to go straight forward again.
Yeah, he's going to go for it again then, but yeah, he did invalidate the lap somewhere around there, HX4K, but no doubt about it, he's certainly one of the drivers out there. There's been a few certainly pushing their luck in that final chicane, but he's one of the drivers out there pushing his luck on the corner cutting, really determined to put a good lap in. We saw how good a lap he could do at the end of the previous session. What can he do here as he makes his way down the hill, brushing up against the barriers? Is this a day where HX4K can get pole? Well, it's a good start. He's purple through the first sector, and the Red Bull driver is on a charge. Here we go then, through the middle part of the lap then, underneath the bridge, he goes. What can he do? Is this going to be a top time? He goes a little bit wide and gets it wrong again. He's pushing so hard, but he just cannot quite get the lap together.
Yeah, that was just a case of pure understeer through the middle part of the corner. He tried to take a lot of speed in, and then realised he was going to invalidate, so he backed out of it. And again, John Evans is going to have to size it up and go again, and I'm assuming now he's going to have to come back into pit lane and bolt on another set of soft tyres. I'm sure he's got another set available to him in pit lane, so let's see what he decides to do here as he comes down now. He comes into pit lane this time, HX4K, so he is going to try again, and that leaves Chanakinchi, the only car out on the circuit, and we know Chanakinchi is well capable of a 107.1. He did it in Q2, and you can see him now just burning fuel on the way towards the start-finish line, and that's why they're revving the engine, of course, just burning the excess fuel in the car. So they have exactly 1 lap of fuel, and that can mean all the difference in Q3. So Chanakinchi out on the outlap now. Everyone starts to emerge out on the circuit as the shootout for pole in Canada now begins, and well, this is going to be an exciting climax.
Yeah, it sure is, there's no doubt about it. It's so close and it's so open, wide open. If one driver can nail the perfect lap, it will be enough to put them on pole position. We've seen HX4K, John Evans looking very quick. We've seen Jake Benham do that 172 with a big moment as well. Oscar Marino with that 107.3 sliding through the final chicane. So it's all down to the drivers who can get the perfect lap. Jack, in a word, who's it going to be?
Oh, I don't know. At the moment, I'm thinking Jake Benham. That's who I'm pipping for pole. I think he's got enough in hand to try to do it, but I could be surprised. Chanakinchi is up on his personal best. He's about a 10th up on his best here through sector number 1, but not on the pace of the front runners at the moment for pole position. But let's see if he can hook it together in sector 2 here. Chanakinchi flicks it into the chicane, keeps it neat and tidy over the curbs, gets very close to that wall on the outside, using the grass out nearly. It's very, very tight as they're pushing on. 0.2 of a second in the middle sector found by Chanakinchi. So he's looking in and around 4th or 5th with this lap for Chanakinchi, the Turkish driver, on the way down towards the last chicane. Can't afford to invalidate this lap now as he heads down underneath the Pirelli boards, down towards the chicane with the wall of champions ready to greet him as he hits 205 miles an hour on the brakes, chucks it into the last chicane, keeps it neat, runs the line now. Good lap from Chanakinchi. Where does he go with this lap? It's P2 for Chanakinchi, 107.220. His last sector was phenomenal, a brilliant effort, and Jake Benham is on his lap now. Oh, he's made a mistake on the lap. He will have to go again.
Oh, so Benham will have to go again. Brufer has made a mistake too. So many drivers making errors out there. Marino as well. Pedreño, all of them have made a mess of their laps. So who have we got out there that's nearing the end of one? Matthias van Erven is out there, but he, I think, has also bailed out of his lap. Who is actually hooking a lap up? Shinaka Clay isn't either. And at the minute, Chanakinchi is the only man out there that's put a good time together. Jake Benham into the final couple of corners. This is not going to be quick though, we don't think. It's not. It's pretty... No, it's quick. It's top. Oh, it's quickest of all. A 107.0 from Jake Benham. And he takes pole position very close now to the 106s.
107.0, and that was a huge oversteer moment that I thought he backed out of, but he kept going, and that's a fantastic time from Jake Benham, provisional pole. But that now, he won't get another attempt if he will decide to go again. I doubt it. We'll have to wait and see. But no, Timon Shooter now begins his lap. He's on a push lap. Shanika Clay invalidated his previous time, and he's on a run. Matthias van Erven begins his lap. Ruben Pedreño's up on his time as well, 18.625 in the middle. Oscar Marino's on the time now. Yari Fitz on the run to the line. Now where does Yari Fitz go with this time? He goes to second. Yari Fitz out of nowhere. Brilliant effort. 152, 0.003 of a second quicker than Timon Shooter. What about HX4K John Evans? Has he done enough to secure it here across the line? No, P4 for John Evans, but it's all so close across the board. But Timon Shooter is on an improvement, or was on an improvement there. Matthias van Erven's on an improvement. There's so many times on an improvement. Pedreño is not able to improve here. Valentin Brufer is on a push lap as well, as they all now head towards the last corner now. Who's able to improve it? Timon Shooter invalidated. He won't improve. Shanika Clay, half a 10th up on his best here. Down towards the last corner he comes. Got to make sure he gets this right. Into the last chicane comes Shanika Clay. Keeps it neat and tidy. Oversteers to the corner now. That's not going to be enough for Shanika Clay up towards the line. Where does he go? He goes to 5th. That's the mistake. Valentin Brufer, what about him? He goes to 7th. Matthias van Erven on a big improvement here. Where does Matthias go? Here in Canada, he comes across like P2 Matthias van Erven. So close, but Jake Benham pulls it out of the bag, is on pole for Canada.
Yeah, well, great effort in the end from Jake Benham. We didn't quite get into the 1:60s, did we? But wow, how close is that? Jake Benham takes the pole position. We thought that he'd ruined the lap, a big oversteer moment. We didn't catch it on the stream. You said you caught it. Was it huge? Was it massive?
It was a huge moment. I've never seen the car go that sideways. I don't know how he managed to the time. I think he was on for a 106 had he not made that mistake. So Jake Benham, by sticks 100, steals pole from Matthias van Erven. Yari Fitz, that's a fantastic performance from Yari Fitz, I have to say. P3 for him. Timon Shooter in P4, then a HX4K, Shanika Clay, Chanakinchi, Valentin Brufer, Oscar Marino, Ruben Pedreño. But 2 tenths between the lot of them to cover Q3, and a 10th would see you improve from 7th up to pole. Chanakinchi 107.220, but the cutoff was a 107.323, but a 107 dead for pole in Canada. Super lap from Jake Benham, and Matthias van Erven so nearly did it, but he made a tiny error in the last corner, and that was probably what cost him. Yeah,
what an incredible session, Jack. I don't remember things being as close as that. I mean, that was really close. And I almost feel like it's one of these racetracks where, and by the way, you're not seeing this yet, folks, but you're going to see it right now, because there is the promised rain. Wow, we are going to be in for quite the Grand Prix here. It is bucketing down, and I am getting Canada 2011 vibes. This is exactly what we want to see. This is really going to test the drivers out there now on this racetrack in these damp conditions, and I don't know, it's hard to tell from here whether that could be inters or wets, but my guess would be inters, Jack. Would you say so?
Yeah, it definitely looks like there's Inter sitting in the garage at the moment, and it certainly looks like intermediate conditions out there for now. So we'll have to wait to see how the guys are going to get on here in these conditions. I wonder how many of them have practiced wet conditions here at Canada, as they all sit on the grid. Yeah, intermediate tyres, and they were right to save in a set of intermediate tyres in Q1. So now it's all going to be, you've got to make sure you can test the starts there, get off the line as best you can. And you'll have to try get these tyres up to temperature. Start feeling out the grip on the outlap as well. Hard to do when you're of course not used to driving in the wet conditions. But the beauty for Jake Benham is he's got the clear track in front, so he won't have the spray. But he'll also be the first car to come into some of the corners as well. So if he gets the braking wrong, then I think everyone else is going to follow him off the road here.
Yeah, absolutely. And wow, it looks really wet in that part of the track. It looks like it's absolutely chucking it down. And yeah, for Jake Benham, he is going to be the reference point for everybody else. Advantage, more visibility, less spray, which, you know, it doesn't really affect things too much on the game. But, you know, you go back to Max Verstappen last week, he was the only one, I think, that wanted to start the race. The advantage, of course, for him was that he had plenty of visibility, but the problem is, it's you that arrives first on the conditions if you're the leader. Everyone else has got a reference point, so it swings in roundabouts, but we've got 35 laps ahead of the drivers here. It's Jake Benham on pole position on a really damp track. Intermediates to start this race. I'm not too sure about the forecast going forward though, Jack. Let's see if things are going to clear up or get worse. Jake Benham though is warming up the tyres. He's on pole position. Matthias Van Erven second. Jari Fitz, what a lap from him in third position. Predictions in the chat, folks. Let's hear. Who do you fancy to go out there and get the victory today? Jack, who do you fancy?
Well, by the looks of it, with the clear track in front of him, I think Jake Benham is going to take this one. But who knows? I mean, we could see safety cars. We could see so many problems for some guys. I think we can expect a good few DNFs from this race, plenty of penalties. But I think Jake Benham is going to do this one. But I think in order to do that, I think he's going to have to be the first one to turn one.
Yep, absolutely. Here we go then. They're all lining up on the grid for the start of the fourth round of this championship here in Montreal, Canada. A wet start ahead of the drivers for this one. No Alvaro Carreton today. Great opportunity for Jake Benham to build that championship lead back up again as the cars sit on the grid. We are about to go racing in the damp conditions. Never mind real life Formula 1 and not running in the wet at Spa. None of that in WOR as the 5 red lights come on, and we will be racing here in WOR. It's a good getaway from Jake Benham. He moves across to try and cover Matthias Van Erven. It's a fantastic start from the Haas driver. He tries to go round the outside. He can't do that. Widen off the track. Goes Simon Shooter. He rejoins and loses a couple of places, but it's still Jake Benham leading the way. And look at Jari Fitz pulling alongside Matthias Van Erven. And is he up into second place? He might be. He is. Round the outside he goes as the drivers tippy-toe their way through that first sector. And we've got a virtual safety car on this opening lap. There's been a shunt at the back.
There has been. Arno Molenaar is missing the whole front end of his car, and left is missing a bit of front wing as well. Oh no, straight away. 5-second penalties start to come through for people bumping each other under the virtual safety car. Jari Fitz gets one, Van Erven gets one, Bruffair, Pedreño, HX4K, who's actually spun under the virtual safety car by the looks of it, and he has already left the session. So that's not going to be a good thing for John Evans, but that gives an extra advantage now to Jake Benham. With those guys behind him who have now got 5-second penalties from getting slightly bumped under the virtual safety car here, which is not what you need. But Jari Fitz made a storming start there around the outside, and he tried to kind of shut the door on Matthias Van Erven going through the left-hander. That could have very easily gone wrong, but good job from the two of them to get through. So now it's kind of time and shoot in net P2, Shanika Clay P3, and these guys, unfortunately, once they decide to pit, they're going to have to serve that 5 seconds, and it will not, and unless, of course, it will go to the stewards, they'll try to get it removed if at all possible. But Jake Benham, he got the start, got everything he needed to do, and now he's pretty much comfortable. He gets control under the virtual safety car, and he has now got the all-coveted track position. I think it's looking good. There's a couple of cars now into pit lane, especially Arno Molenaar. He's had a hard impact, and I think he's lucky to get away with the missing front wing, because I think he had a very heavy impact in the barrier.
Yep, it is. So he is now got a brand new front wing, left it as well. HX4K is getting a new front wing, but he's not here at the minute. So they've got 3 cars in the pits. We are now back underway with the action then. It was a long VSC, but we are now up and running. And that, as you see, is a disaster for Jari Thits and Mattis Van Erven to have both picked up those time penalties under the VSC. Valentin Bruffer, Ruben Pedreño as well, as we touched on. Is Tom Martinez, by the way, is up into 6th place. What a start to the Grand Prix for him. He's got himself ahead of Oscar Marino. Fantastic stuff from Tom Martinez.
Yeah, it's a great start from Tom. Yeah, rapid start up P6 he goes now. He chases after Shannon Clay. Shannon Kinchy's all over the rear of Oscar Marino. Into the hairpin they go. Side by side. Kinchy's on the outside for this part of the circuit. Valentin Bruffer tucked in behind them both as they squeeze it. It's going to end up in the rear.
No.
That was never going to end well. There's a car alongside you there. You have to leave the space at all times. And that unfortunately now is going to give them damage down the straight and lose them a chunk of places as they head down. But Jari Fitz, he's all over the rear of Jake Bennett here. Jari Fitz is on an absolute mission here in Canada.
Yeah, he's absolutely flying. Where does this come from Jari Fitz? He's absolutely on it, and he's climbing all over the back of Jake Benham. And this is what we touched on in the formation lap. Jake Benham is the first man to arrive in the conditions. Everyone else can use him as a reference, as a breaking point. And Jari Fitz is looking extremely confident out there, and he's looking to try and upset the apple cart as he gets ever closer to the back of Jake Benham. Is he going to be close enough for a move though in the next few laps? He's almost pushing him through some of these corners. Jari Fitz is in fine form at the minute, and he's clambering all over the back of Jake Benham, ready to make that move and make up for that time penalty already. Can he try and find a way through on Jake Benham down into the hairpin perhaps? Let's see if he'll have a little squirt of the ERS button, and he does so, and now he's going to try and maybe slingshot one up the inside. Will Jari Fitz do that? Nope, not on this occasion. He stays put in 2nd place. And in the damp conditions, Jack, you do need to try and get a little bit inventive. No DRS, it can be difficult to pass down the straights.
Yeah, it can be. You can see Jake just opens the gap out on the exit of the corner using the squirt of ERS. And he had a big double lock-up into the corner before the hairpin, so he's lucky to keep it on the road. And he's got Matthijs van Erven up behind him, so he can't afford any mistakes here. Comes through the last chicane, and you can see he's got a bit more confidence than Benham through there. Benham taking it very steady on these opening few laps, and he sets the fastest lap of the race in that time by, which is taken immediately by Shannon Clay. He's running down the order. Valentin Bruffer starting to take it now. They're start to get their eye in for these conditions now. And Jari Fitz really sawing at the wheel, trying to find some grip in the rear tyres as they come down through turns 2 and 3. And got to be very careful and very steady through this. And of course, he's running in the dirty air as well, which won't help as he gets very sideways through here. He's on the limit, double lock up on the way through. He's on the absolute limit, but locking up those fronts consistently is going to affect that tyre wear, even minimally. It's not what you want to be doing. And Benham is driving very steadily, very nicely as well. A little lock up on the way through there as well as he comes through, but he cannot relax. None of these guys can relax, and it seems like now Benham and Fitz starting to maybe just breach a small gap to Van Erven, who's trying to keep himself nice and steady. Timon Shooter is nicely in there in P4 as well, as Erven goes very wide into the hairpin. And Shooter, as we said, the car in front dictates the line really, and Shooter followed him as further down the order. Luke Smith, what's happened to Luke Smith? He's spun around in the hairpin. He's managed to get going again. I think he's managed to avoid damage.
Yeah, so that's a shame for Luke Smith. He's back going again though. We didn't quite catch that one, but yeah, it fits. Just a word on him at the minute. I mean, he really is throwing the car around. He looks like he's the most confident driver out there with the conditions at the minute. Every time he cuts the timing beam going through that first sector, the back end's all over the place. He's loving it out there. And he's really pushing hard through that part of the lap. Well, let's see if he does it again as they make their way round turns number 1, 2 and 3. Once again, we've got all kinds of action down towards the rear of the field, and there it is. Look at this. Channa Kinchy's in there, Luke Smith's in there. Luke Smith's off the track as Samuel Bean goes through. Channa Kinchy now trying to get involved. Absolute mayhem. And look at Andreas Dormeyer. He's going to go past the pair of them. Down the inside he goes, and has he done it? Come on, give us a better camera view than that. He has done it. That is unbelievable. Wow, didn't think he was going to get through there, but he has done. And now look, here we go, side by side. The Williams driver of Channa Kinchy and Alessio Di Caprio battling away there, and Channa Kinchy is going backwards very, very quickly.
Yeah, well, that was brave from Andreas Dormeyer. I would say pushing it 3 wide through turn 2, and he's straight up now to P13 as they come through, and they're getting so sideways through the corners. Alessi de Campo now to P15 gets past Chanakinchi and carries on his way in this early phase of the race now. And you can kind of see rain beginning to kind of ease off a little bit. There's a kind of a line starting to form as they come round the last corner. But oh my word, Matthias van Erven really nearly fits on the throttle there and very nearly ending it in the wall right there. And they're really pushing it with the limits. Valentin Bruferes, that's another fastest lap. So the track getting quicker and quicker each lap here, Andy.
Yeah. It is getting quicker, you're absolutely right. The rain is easing up, no doubt about it. Less spots on the commentary box window, I can say that much, as the drivers continue to push on. But that was very fortunate for Van Erven. Could easily have ripped the end plate off of that Haas car, and he keeps pointing in the right direction for now. Things calming down in the midfield for the moment as we continue to watch these guys at the front. But Jari Fitz certainly having a fine race. Jake Benham has his work cut out to hold on to that lead. I mean, I think it's fair to say we thought he would have enough pace to get away from these guys, didn't we? We thought he'd be really quick out there, but the guys behind Jari Fitz are really making him work for it at the minute, isn't he?
He really is, yeah. Just unfortunately, he has that penalty, the 5 seconds he's going to have to serve in the pit lane. So time and shoot to Shanika Clay, the kind of guys he needs to keep an eye on. Tom Martinez hanging in there, P6, as they come down the straight. But now Benham breaking away a little bit, nearly out to 0.8 of a second as they head through the last corner once again to begin lap 7 of 35. And it's getting pretty, they're taking it very easy through that last chicane right now. They pushed the limits on the previous lap, but there you go. And Jake Benham settling in now, fastest lap of the race on that time, 1:18.291. You can kind of see the immediate difference in the lap time. They're nearly 11 seconds slower in the wet than they were in the dry conditions under quali trim. 1:07s they were going at, now 1:18s is the time of the fastest driver at the moment. But I think Benham very much settling in now. He's breaking away from Jari Fitz.
Yeah, just pretty much as I said, Jari Fitz was hanging in there. He breaks away. Not that DRS is important in the wet, but he is getting towards that 1 second window if it does dry up, and it is starting to go in that direction as Thomas Harvey picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. We're on board at the minute with Shanaka Clay, the man in the Aston Martin, pushing on behind Simon Shooter. Is he going to be able to have a run on these two in front anytime soon? He's certainly looking quite quick in that group at the minute, and as you said, with Jari Fitz and Matthias van Erven both with penalties, it could open up for the likes of Clay and Shooter, couldn't it? So let's see if they play the long game for now, but they don't want to play the long game for too long because it's a good opportunity for Jake Benham to break clear.
Yeah, and you can see he's out to over a second now, Jake Benham. So he's on a good run now. Jari Fitz not able to keep at this pace with Benham now as he comes round the last corner. Shanika Clay looks like the man who's kind of closest to anybody, but he takes too much speed into the last corner. Safety car! Safety car is out, and that's our prediction. We think there would be a safety car, and it's come out on lap 7 after Arno Molliner has crashed. Can't quite see which sector he crashed in, but safety car emerges, and immediately now that's kind of, let's see if anybody's going to opt for slicks here. We're going to have a look in the pit lane, and yes, fresh intermediates for some of the guys here. So they're not thinking it's going to dry up, so they're fresh inters for a lot of the guys right here in the pit lane, but the guys out front are not going to be able to benefit from that just yet. So guys like Thomas Harvey, Samuel Bean, Luke Smith, Alessi de Capo, Chana Kinchi and Lewis Welsh benefited from when the safety car came out and came straight out and boxed into the pit lane. But according to a number of guys, we're pretty sure we're hearing it's going to dry up, so I'm not quite sure why they've decided to go for intermediates, but of course we don't exactly know when it's going to dry up, because, well, it's known that Jeff isn't exactly the most accurate man in the world.
Now, it's a difficult one because it's something I've done before. I mean, when I used to league race, it's not something I was very good at, let's be honest, but there's something I would have considered. But I'm looking at it, Jack, and I don't think it's drying up enough. Maybe a couple more laps, and then if the safety car was deployed, it might have been time for slicks. It's maybe a little early. It is still raining, the brollies are still up, but I just want to touch on the timing of that safety car in terms of track position for the top 8 or 9 cars, top 10 cars. They were all past the pit lane. The safety car came out at the worst possible time for them, and now everyone from 11th downwards has got fresh tyres on these guys, and that is massive. The safety car timing has really screwed some of these drivers, and are they going to concede track position? Absolutely not. They're going to stay out there for now. So we could see some big moves from guys on fresh tyres, couldn't we?
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the safety car. So Samuel Bean is the first car that has pitted onto Thomas Harvey is the first car that has pitted onto fresh intermediate tyres, but Samuel Bean is the only one without a penalty at the moment. So the safety car going to stay out on for a little while longer. And of course, these intermediates can go quite far into the race. So wait to see when the safety car is going to come in. It'll either stay out for another lap or it'll come out. It'll come in on the end of this lap, but I think it's probably going to go an extra lap or two out here at Canada. But pretty common to see the safety car around here. Didn't exactly see what happened to Arno Molliner, but obviously had an off in a certain area which triggered the safety car. But I think with certain things, if we do see another big crash, then the safety car will immediately come out to do that. We've seen a virtual safety car and a safety car, and it's only lap 9 here at WOR.
Yeah, plenty of incidents so far in the opening 9 laps here in Canada. It's certainly a street track. There's not much margin for error, and in the wet conditions, we shouldn't be surprised to see the safety car being deployed. It is Jake Benham that leads this race. He led from pole position. Jari Fitz and Matthias van Erven, as you can see on your screen, both have time penalties that they picked up during the previous VSC. So that's also the case for Valentin Bruffer and Ruben Pedreño. The only actual time penalty for corner cutting so far is that of Thomas Harvey. So that's the situation. Jake Benham, you could argue, has basically got a 2-car buffer to his main rival, which of course is Simon Shooter and Shanaka Clay at the minute. And by the way, there's a chance Tom Martinez would then go up to 4th position when those guys serve their penalties, and he would not be under threat from Bruffer and Pedreño because they also have time penalties. So what a situation Tom Martinez finds himself in. It's incredible.
Yeah, brilliant job, and he's one of the biggest movers. He's up 5 places in race started, but the biggest mover at the moment is actually Andreas Dormeyer, who's up to P7. Up to P10, but he's up 7 places from where he started. Andreas Dormeyer, after he made that daring move past 2 cars into turn 2. And, well, Andreas has been on the move these past weekends because he's been switching between iRacing and F1. He's had to hop and do a league race. I believe the guys have just finished a 24-hour race on iRacing, so he's hopped straight into the WOR as well, so I'm sure he's running on absolute empty at the moment, Andreas Dormeyer, so we'll have to wait to see how he gets on later on the race, but he's on a good charge at the moment. Lap 10, trying to see, we're not going to see until kind of after the hairpin whether we're going to see the safety car in on this lap. I think it should be in this lap. Every car is at the back of the queue, so we'll either get one more or it should be in at the end of this lap. All the debris is kind of clear, but no sign of the rain abating just yet. Yeah. And it's going to carry on. So those guys obviously correctly pitting for intermediates in the current conditions, but no sign of the rain stopping yet. Safety car in this lap now. Jake Benham, he's had to control a virtual safety car restart. Now a full safety car restart. So when does he decide to go?
Yeah, when will he decide to drop the throttle here on lap number 10 out of 35 here in the 4th round of the championship? WOR were giving us another lovely poll in chat. Who's going to win the race? Jake Benham, Jari Fitz, Matthias van Erven, or somebody else? Let's wait and see as the safety car is about to come in and we're about to get underway again. As you touched on, the rain not quite abating just yet. Too soon for anyone to make the bold call and go onto a different set of tyres. And Jake Benham has left Jari Fitz standing still. Jari Fitz was busy weaving from left to right, and Jake Benham just said, okay, while you're doing that, I'll just see you later then, as they go across the line to start lap 11 of this Grand Prix, and we are underway and green flag racing once again. How far, how long before we get to dry tyres? A few people suggesting it's going to be 3 or 4 laps in chat. What do you reckon, Jack?
Well, at the moment, I'm not seeing a dry up at all, so I think it's going to be a bit longer than 3 to 4 laps. We need the rain stopping very soon for that to be the case, as Matthias van Erven gets another penalty to his name, so that's now equating to 8 seconds of penalties to Matthias van Erven, so that's going to help out. But now that safety car has helped a lot of drivers drag up to the rear, so I'm going to be interested to see how these fresh intermediate runners get on with these fresh tyres. Thomas Harvey, Samuel Bean, Luke Smith, all those guys on fresh intermediates, but they're kind of dropping away from Andreas Dormeyer and the AlphaTauri team, with Dario Yamulo at the wheel of the other one as well, as they now come to the hairpin. Big lockup for Jake Benham on the way into the hairpin. I'm seeing a lot of double lockups on the front, and it looks it looks a bit scary, honestly, that they're driving like that with the double lockup. You're gonna have no steering when you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks very, very worrying. A few times I've had to turn away from the screen, Jack. I've seen a few of them really, really locking it up and having a big moment. There's Jari Fitz having another big lock up, and that is a disaster. 3-second time penalty as he hops through that chicane there, locking up, as I said, and in the end, running wide and getting a 3-second time penalty, and that is not at all what he is looking for. Is Valentin Bruffer in 7th place, is probably the closest man to a move on track at the minute. He's right behind Tom Martinez. He's almost pushing him through turn 2 and 3, and he really will want to get a move on soon with that time penalty. Down in 7th place at the minute. The start of Q2 looked to be one of the main contenders for pole. It's just not worked out for him so far, has it, Jack?
No, it really hasn't, and it's unusual now. He's stuck down there. He has the 5-second penalty to his name as well, does Valentin Bruffer, and he's now got Tom Martinez on his hit list for now, up at the front end in P6 for Tom Martinez at the moment, and the rain's still coming down here at Canada, so still no sign of anybody pitting for slicks at the moment as they come down into the hairpin once again into the stadium section. Still Jake Benham, Jari Fitz, Matthias Van Erven, Simon Shute, Shanika Clay, your top 5, and no benefit of DRS for anybody, especially as well. But that'll be the saving grace for Jake Benham. No DRS in the wet conditions as he joins now down the back straight towards the chicane at the Wall of Champions, and now we'll see if he can make a move. Actually, closest man, it looks like he might be able to go for an overtake shortly, is actually Samuel Bean on Thomas Harvey, because those two are on the same strategy. They're on that same fresh intermediate tyres, but gets it all wrong through the chicane. Well, those new intermediates not working just yet, because Jake Benham sets a new fastest lap out the front as well, and down to the low women at 18s.
Yeah, down into the 118s now. So Jake Benham getting into his stride, into his rhythm, and he's a 9/10 lead over Jari Fitz. As we go back to that midfield scrap, and as you say, Jack, looking very congested in that neck of the woods with Andres Dorman and Danny Yumilo kind of at the front of it, with the likes of Thomas Harvey, Samuel Bean and Luke Smith all tucked right up in there as well. We're on board with Luke Smith in the other Aston Martin at the minute. His teammate Shinaka Clay up in 5th position as things stand, and Smith just sliding the rear through there, trying to get close enough to these guys in front. And are we going to see the likes of Thomas Harvey, Samuel Bean and Luke Smith, the 3 lead cars on fresher inters, maybe threaten a move on some of the guys up in front, because you can see they do look quite a little bit quicker.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to join the train here. As you can see, Thomas Harvey getting right up behind Andreas Dormar, but gets it a little bit wrong on the exit, and that'll give an opportunity maybe to Samuel Bean to, if he gets on the power enough, to try and close up. He's using his overtake down the straight, but not able to get enough of a slipstream on Thomas Harvey to get past the man in the Red Bull. Down into the last corner they go again. The last chicane, double lockup again as they come into the last corner, and this time Alessio Di Capua picks up a 3-second penalty for cutting that chicane on the way through. Lap 14 of 35, so about 20 odd laps left in this race, and still the rain continues to fall in Canada, and no sign of it easing up just yet. Still Benham, Fitz and Van Erven, your top 3, but of course those two have those 5 seconds penalties. There's Andreas Dormar now with a 3-second penalty, so even more of the field beginning to pick up those 3-second penalties, and it seems now, if you're somebody who keeps it between the white lines, you could gain a huge chunk of positions by just avoiding the penalties. That's the key point of these races. When you're this close, having no penalties to your name is a big advantage. Yeah,
absolutely massive around the track like this. Not having a penalty, because it's so easy to pick one up, and I think Jake Benham will just be thinking out front, I know the guys behind have got penalties, I don't need to take any risks, I've got them at 1 second's distance as well. Things are under control for him. As we've got a yellow flag out there, has someone dropped it at the hairpin? I think we might have had lefted round or something like that, maybe.
Yep.
Not too sure.
Yep.
Yep. Did you see it, Jack?
I didn't actually see it, but I've seen him getting going again. So Lefted did manage to rotate round in that corner, and he's got back going again. Benham, another fastest lap out the front, an 18.0, now pulls the gap to 1.4 seconds out front. So Benham is very comfortable in these conditions now, and he's continuing to open the gap to Jari Fitz. Van Erven not able to keep with them as well. Time and Shoot and Shanika Clay biding their time in P4 and P5, trying to avoid penalties as best they can. And yeah, very good job from Jake Benham so far, continuing to lap at a decent pace, keeping it nice and steady through the corners. You can see the movements on the wheel becoming less and less frequent, and he's just being as smooth as he can through the corners here. just really trail braking through the corners, being very precise with the inputs here. Not as aggressive as you'd see him in the dry, but you have to be so gentle in these conditions. There's a big double lockup again through the corners. Obviously, the tires under rotate in these conditions, but the driving style from Benham, as you can see him move, yeah, as you said, Samuel Bean going to try go around the outside of Thomas Harvey now as they come around the hairpin. He has the outside, gets on the power nicely. Samuel Bean will hopefully see if he can get in front of Thomas Harvey, uses the overtake, uses the ERS, and he gets back in front, but let's see if he can hang on to it. Thomas Harvey going to try to come back at him down to the last chicane here. Does he have enough to go back up the inside? No, he doesn't, and Samuel Bean holds on to the position as Dario Yamulo now boxes from P9, and I think that's going to be obviously a new set of intermediate tyres for him as he boxes, and it is indeed another set of inters, and no sign of it drying up at all at the moment.
Yeah, no sign of any dry weather. We've got another car in the pits behind that. That's lefted. I think you might need some new front wing. Let's have a look and see. It is a new wing and a fresh set of intermediates as well. I was thinking maybe Yamulo was coming in because he damaged the car, but that is not the case. He is absolutely fine out there, as we can now pick up some of the drivers towards the front. Shinaka Clay 1.1 off the back of Diamond, sorry, 7/10 off the back of Diamond Shooter in the minute, as things are starting to get a little bit strung out near the front of the field. Jake Benham now opening the gap up to 2 seconds to Jari Fitz, then Matthias Van Erven, then Diamond Shooter, and then this man here, Shinaka Clay, as it all begins to open out at the front, and that's pretty interesting. And again, a double lockup from Shinaka Clay down into that hairpin. I mean, these guys on the inters, they must really be starting to struggle, those ones that have not fitted fresh ones, Jack.
Yeah, they will be at this point, and you'll start to feel the effects of the tyre wear very much now in this phase of the race. So they've got to be very careful as they carry on in this race to kind of look after the tyres as best they can. And it's especially difficult when you're pushing on, but Jari Fitz not able to keep the pace with these guys. As you can see now, time and shoot, the Shanaka Clay into pit lane, fresh inters going on the tyre, going on the car right there for time and shoot, and they're also going to have to serve agonisingly. Well, they were serving I thought they were serving a penalty. They were sat that long in the pit lane, but thankfully not. As the pit lane, as it comes up on the screen, pit windows open for the intermediates now, so they're going to be at the end of their life in this phase of the race. And yeah, time and shoot and Shanaka Clay emerge P15, P16. So at the moment, it looks like a simple one-stop on intermediates for the rest of the race.
And that hands the advantage to Samuel Bean, who is now essentially the net race leader of this Grand Prix. We were all thinking that it was going to go to dries, and the fact the guys that pitted under safety car wouldn't really have had a track advantage, but the fact it's not drying out now means that when the 7 in front of Samuel Bean pit for fresh enters, and if they do pit for fresh enters, it will be Samuel Bean leading this race from Thomas Harvey and Luke Smith. Who would have predicted that at the start of the evening? What a situation we have developing here. And if it keeps raining, Samuel Bean is going to be in prime position, and there's more pit stops coming. Jari Fitz now has bailed out of those inters. Will Jake Benham and Matthias Van Erven have to do the same? Surely they will.
Yeah, Andreas Dormeyer's come back into the pit lane again. I swear he was just in the box right there. That was the AlphaTauri driver. No, it was actually Dario Yamulo who pitted on the previous lap. So now they come in, and Andreas Dormeyer fits on the set of intermediate tyres as well. Jari Fitz at the same thing. And as they come into pit lane, Oscar Marino's also in the pit lane now, as well as Dario Yamulo. There you go, with the fresh intermediates. Dario Yamulo, fastest lap of the race, and he's going to come out. Have a look at that. He's come out in front of Jari Fitz. So Dario Yamulo's making tracks here and gets up now to a net P4 with that extra undercut lap from him.
Well, it's all happening here as Valentin Bruffer is not hanging around anymore. He's up behind Tom Martinez trying to go for the move, and we've got a safety car. And is that going to bail out some of these drivers on intermediate tyres? It won't really help them too much because Samuel Bean is that close to the back of them. It might help them a little bit, though, the guys near the front, to get better position than what they would have got initially. Let's see then, but surely we're going to see a fresh set of enters for Jake Benham, Matthias Van Erven, Tom Martinez, Valentin Bruffer, and Ruben Pedreño. And will that hand the race lead to Samuel Bean as we go beyond half distance here? That is going to be incredible. That is what's going to happen, because into the pits comes the race leader in that Mercedes. He won't be the leader for much longer, though. Wow.
Yeah, unbelievable. So that early stop.
Oh, Samuel Bean's coming in.
Pit lane. Yeah, because the tyres won't last to the end. His tyres are 10 laps. He's going to pit under safety car. So It's going to be time and shooter. Surely he's going to lead the race now. We'll have to wait to see Jake Benham. He may hold on to this, though. On the exit, it has worked beautifully for Jake Benham. So it has worked. But have a look at this. Tom Martinez up to third with that stop for a moment. He's got to get the power down on the pit exit. Come on, Tom. On the exit right there. And he's got time and shooter by absolute inches. P2 Tom Martinez.
Absolutely incredible. Well, Tom Martinez, this guy never stops impressing me. Squad sprint, taking it to esports drivers, and now he's doing it in league racing as well. Absolutely magnificent. He's second now, behind Jake Benham. After all that, and wow, I just can't believe what's taking place. You're absolutely right. The guys that did 10 laps on the inters, they couldn't go to the end if the weather stayed like that, so they had to pit too. And Jake Benham, having looked initially like losing the lead, isn't losing it at all. Tom Martinez is in second place. What is going on?
It's a brilliant effort from Tom Martinez. He knew what he was doing. He absolutely sent it down towards turn 1, and it was literal half a car length was all it was to give Tom Martinez that P2, because the rules state you can go full speed on the exit, which is perfect for him. And that's dropped now. Matthias Van Erven down to P5, Shanika Clay up to P4, time and shoot to P3. Dario Yamula making good tracks now. He's up to P6, just behind Van Erven, who of course has to serve the penalty that he's of course yet to serve. He's got the 3-second penalty, of course, so he's lost out because of the 5 seconds that he had to serve as well. 3 seconds for a number of these guys as well, and a couple of these guys got to serve the penalties under safety car, which you would normally not be allowed to do in real life F1, but the game does allow it. You can serve your 5-second stop goals under safety car, so that's going to minimize the time that they've lost. But Jake Benham, Tom Martinez, Time and Shooter, Shanika Clay, the top 4. So now let's see from P2 what Tom Martinez is able to do. That's the second safety car that we've got out here today, and everyone is behind the queue, so could be a case now we might get another lap or so of safety car before we come peel into pit lane. But yeah, absolutely brilliant job from Tom Martinez, from Time and Shoot and Shanika Clay. They went 2 laps earlier, actually, Time and Shoot and Shanika Clay together, and they've managed to kind of gain a net P3, P4 position as a result for those two. So Time and Shoot are clear of penalties, Shanika Clay also clear of penalties, and they're up fighting with the top end right now. But big opportunity for Tom Martinez. Delighted to see him up there.
Yeah, what an incredible situation he finds himself in, and can he hold on for what would be an incredible podium finish? He's certainly got some rivals and quick drivers behind him in the form of Shooter and Shanika Clay, but we'll have to wait and see what he can do and how soon this safety car pulls in. The fact that they all, it's coming in now, okay, pretty soon, and the fact that they all come in for fresh inter says, I think that we're going to go all the way to the end in damp conditions. No sign of the slick tyres being required today. We'll wait and see if it does clear up, but at the minute it's all about Jake Benham and how he gets the throttle down. He left Jari Fitz for dust on the first restart. Will he do that to Tom Martinez? Tom pretty experienced though. Let's wait and see as the safety car makes its way now into the pit lane. When will Jake Benham drop the throttle and get us underway for the 3rd time in this Grand Prix? He drops it now and he's in a good getaway, but Tom Martinez is clinging on at the minute as they make their way through that final chicane and get us back underway. And green flag racing once again here in Montreal across the line. Jake Benham leads the way from Tom Martinez. What a story. Can he go out there and push on and maybe even pass him? That would be incredible.
Yeah, we're looking pretty safe to the end now. These guys will have enough tyres to make it to the end of the Grand Prix if it does remain in the current conditions. So Tom Martinez on the push. Jake Benham trying to hang on to the race. He's led from pole. He hasn't lost that place once this whole race, and he's controlled it beautifully. But he's got a couple more twists in the tail, I'm sure, before we get to the end of the race. Simon Shoots as a very wide line for Dario Yamula to cut across the grass. Yamulo, and he's going to pick up a penalty for that now. That Jari Fitz is going to get the position now as it comes squeezed into the wall. Down towards the next corner. Jari Fitz gets through up to P6. Mulo gave him the squeeze as they came to, Shanika now picks up a penalty. That's going to drop him out of contention for that race win now. So it's now, at the moment, 3-way fight. Jake Benham, Tom Martinez, Simon Shooter for the win right now. Samuel Bean on course to pick up a chunk of places. Net P4 for him at the moment.
Look at this from Tom Martinez. He's all over the back of Jake Benham. I can't believe he's pushing as hard as this. Can he maybe try and make a move? It would be an incredible story. One of the biggest shocks in WOR history if he could do it. He's climbing onto the back of Jake Benham. He's got a fantastic run coming out of the final corner, and Tom Martinez is using the ERS. Is he going to have a look up the inside of the esports driver? He is! Tom Martinez fighting Jake Benham for the lead of the Grand Prix. Round the outside he goes. Is this going to be the lead of the race for Tom Martinez? He's pulling alongside.
Superb.
He's done it! He's absolutely done it! What an incredible moment here in WOR! Tom Martinez moving up from Tier 2, taking it to the esports drivers. He's impressed me in squad sprint. Now he's doing it in WOR as well. Leaves Jake Benham for dust. He leads the Canadian Grand Prix. Wow!
So confident. Tom Martinez is in the lead here at Canada. There's there is only a couple of laps left. Of course, he's got a good ways to go though in the race. About 13 laps left in this race, and Tom Martinez goes up to the lead with a beautiful overtake on Jake Benham. So confident on the brakes, makes it round the outside. And now he's pushing on. He's building the gap. Look, 0.7 of a second is the gap between Martinez and Benham as they come down towards turn 1. Simon Shooter in P3. Shanika Clade sits in P4. Yari Fitz moving out of the slipstream now. But now Tom Martinez coming across the line to begin lap 23 of 35. Another 12 laps on the calendar for him now. And let's see if he can hang on for a famous victory in WOR.
This would be incredible. It would be more than famous. It would be unbelievable. It would shake the league racing community inside out and upside down. Tom Martinez, content creator, hardened league racer. Don't forget that. He is very, very quick. But this is another level from him in these damn conditions. Where has this come from? And as you say, he's stretching the gap out to a tune of 0.7 of a second. This is very, very impressive. It's almost a second now that Tom Martinez leads this race by. This is magnificent.
He's in such control of the car, Tom Martinez, and he's saving ERS just in case he needs it. Jake Benham sits in P2. Diamond Shooter still chasing him down. In P3, Shanika Clay stacking up behind. Now Matthias Van Erven in the middle. Yari Fitz, Dario Miller, but all these guys all have penalties. So the guy who sits net P4 at the moment is Samuel Bean in P8. So he just needs to sit where he is, and he could get a very good result out of this race today as they come down towards the last chicane. Lap 24 of 35, laps ticking down very quickly now for Tom Martinez. He needs to keep the head, keep the faith, and it could be a famous win here down towards turn 1. Dario Yumulo trying to get past Yari Fitz, can't get up alongside him as they come towards turn 1. Yari Fitz very wide. Yumulo finds some space on the outside. Can he copy Martinez's move here on the exit? No, he can't. Fitz has to hang on to the position there as they come through the middle sector now. Martinez almost a second clear. Diamond Shooter keeping them honest in P3, but the race is certainly not over just yet, and Martinez needs to keep it nice and steady out the front here for the next 10 or so laps, as he has two very accomplished drivers. He's got Jake Benham, Simon Shooter, Shanika Clay, Matthias Van Erven, all these guys chasing him down, and he's the one at the head of the field in control.
It's absolutely incredible. What a job he's doing. Samuel Bean all over the back of Dario Yumulo here in the fight for 7th and 8th. Is he going to try and find a route down the inside into the hairpin? He thinks about it, cuts back to the outside. He's going to try and go around the outside. He's on the grass. Is Samuel Bean. Can he now straighten the car up on the exit and have a look down the straight? That doesn't look like it. He's had a poor exit, but that was very harem-scarum stuff into the braking zone, and Dario Yumulo at the minute holds on to that 7th place, but Samuel Bean on slightly fresher tyres than Dario, starting to get a little bit quicker and starting to chase him down as Jake Benham steadies that gap at around 0.7 of a second. Is going to be able to come back at him as Yari Fitz now is through, and no. Matthias Van Erven is out of the race. I didn't see it.
I think he's retired in pit lane here, Matthias Van Erven, so that might rescue us, will it, as they come through the next, yeah, it will, no safety car, so Matthias Van Erven peels into pit lane, retires from the session, so he's not going to finish this race, unfortunately, as we tick down the laps even more, as a yellow flag in sector number 1. I think that is for Matthias Van Erven's car that is just emerging out of the pit lane here. So still all is well, no sign of the virtual safety car, no sign of the safety car out front just yet. 10 laps left in the race. Martinez Benham shoots at your top 3, and it's continuing now to be a fascinating encounter in Canada, and we wait to see, can we have one of the biggest upsets, the most famous victories in WOR history about to come to faith here in Canada with just under 10 laps left when we cross the line. Next time it will tick by very quickly, but it'll feel like an absolute age in Tom Martinez's head right now.
Well, it really will. I probably cannot believe that he's in this position, but at the minute, he's handling the pressure superbly. It's incredible. Jake Benham must have not known what was coming at him. He must have been absolutely stunned when Tom Martinez came and made that move, to have the cheek and the audacity to go past an esports driver in that fashion, but he did it, and he now leads by 6 or 7 tenths, and he looks comfortable. He looks unfazed. It's unbelievable. This is a champion's drive. It's an esports driver's drive from Tom Martinez, not one you'd expect from a content creator. They might need to sign their content creator, they're saying in the chat, and I think we're going to have to have a little look, because this is so good. It's so impressive. Can he hold on, as you say, Jack, for what, in my opinion, it must be the most famous shock win of all time, certainly at top tier 1 level esports. It must be. Can you think of anything more wild than this?
No, absolutely not. I think the only thing that might come a bit close is Big C's win in esports back in the 2017 game. I think that's the thing that comes closest to it. And Tom Martinez is pulling off something incredible here, but he's now got to try and keep Jake Benham, who's on a bit of a resurgence here now. He's starting to maybe put some pressure on Tom Martinez up front right now. Lap 27 of 35 coming up for Martinez, and Benham is getting closer and closer to the rear of that Ferrari. All Martinez really needs to do now is make sure he doesn't pick up penalties, because Jake also has to watch his mirrors for Time and Shooter, who's all over his rear as well as they come across the line. Lap 27 of 35, and just another couple of laps of just in single figures now is all that remains for these laps as they come across the to begin sector number 2. And wow, this is just phenomenal what we're witnessing right now. This is brilliant racing, and Benham now is starting to attack Martinez now, and let's see if Martinez can handle the pressure from the young upstart.
Yeah, let's see how he can handle the pressure. He is very experienced in league racing, Tom Martinez. The fact he's a content creator, we shouldn't let that get in the way of the fact that he is a very accomplished league racer. He is experienced. It will be difficult to buckle him under the pressure. Going back to squad sprint, he has battled with the best, the Jarno Opmeers of the world. He has battled against the likes of James Baldwin. He knows what it's like to come up against the real heavyweights of esports, whether it be in F1 or other forms. He is very quick and very accomplished, and Jake Benham will have to do something very special to get back through. No DRS, it will be very tough for Jake Benham. Tom Martinez, take a bow, but it's coming down now to around 4/10 of a second, and Benham's closing in, and he fancies taking the dream victory away from Tom Martinez. Was it just a glimmer of hope he gave him with Tom getting through? I'm not so sure. I think Tom might just have enough of the experience in his pocket. He's always been a very good league racer in terms of racecraft and in terms of defensive driving, and Jake Benham is about to learn that when he closes in, if he closes in on the back of Tom Martinez with just 7 laps to go. They're ticking by, and it must feel like an age for Tom Martinez at the minute, but he's having the time of his life out there. If you've just joined us, he had a great qualifying. He got himself into Q2. It was pretty solid, and then with the safety cars coming out, he made his way up into second place. He was already making ground, by the way, before the safety car, up into the top 6, and was looking very strong. He then made it up into second place, coming out of the pits after the second safety car, and then made an incredible move in Jake Benham to now lead this Grand Prix. Well, you could say, Jack, there's an element of luck to it in the safety cars, but no doubt about it, he made some good moves out there before those safety cars to put him in this position.
Yeah, and he made the right calls as well when it counted, and he put the power down and got past Simon Shooter on the pit exit. Mere inch came through turn 1, lap 29 of 35 for Tom Martinez now, and Jake Benham 4/10 of a second back. Serious pressure being put on by Jake Benham right now, but very similar ERS levels. So Tom has the ERS to defend if he needs it. Big oversteer moment on the exit for Tom there as he got on the power, but he is saving his ERS charge. 70% of the battery, slightly more than Benham has. Benham's having to use it to keep up with him here, so Martinez has battery to defend, which which is exactly what he needs. He hasn't used up all his ERS in trying to get away. That was pure pace. Now he's trying to maintain the position and keep his P1 position with now 5 laps left. Across the line, can Martinez do it? Shootout gets a penalty. Now it's a two-way scrap.
It is a two-way scrap then for the victory. There's so many cars behind this group with penalties. Tom Martinez knows he's in a great position. Look at Benham there. So late on the brakes. Really trying to put Tom Martinez off maybe a little bit there. Now he'll get a good exit coming out of here. There's the vote in the chat. Will Tom Martinez hold on for a famous win? Vote now. Yes or no? What would you say, Jack? I'm going to say yes at the minute. Hold on. Jake Benham now right there. Is he now going to try on this lap? Don't think he's going to be close enough.
No, there's still a decent gap from Tom Martinez, still 4 tenths. He's maintaining it exactly. Samuel Bean is setting fastest laps, by the way, and with all those penalties, he's actually on the podium.
Wow, incredible. And to be fair to him as well, he made the right calls at the right time with the safety car too, didn't he? And he'll be very deserving of that podium if he can just keep it on the island. He will probably be aware that the cars in front have got time penalties. There's a podium on the cards here for Samuel Bean. Tom, Jake and Samuel Bean in the podium. Who would have said that at the start of the day? Nobody would have said that. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way you could have predicted Tom Martinez to be at the head of the field at this moment with just a few laps remaining. I mean, it's just brilliant to see them up there fighting away as they come through. Lewis Welch now picks up a penalty. He's down in 14th place at the moment, and Benham is just nipping away, but you can see Martinez is looking after that battery so well, still has 70% charge with Benham now down to 40% in the ERS, so Martinez is really defending brilliantly whilst also looking after his battery here as he comes around the corner. Jake Benham very nicely through there, but Martinez using the ERS on the way out of the corner to just boost him away for a little bit. Gap down to 0.3 of a second now as they come across the line. Dario Emilio fastest lap of the race. It is beginning to slightly get faster now as the dry line forms in front of them, and but Benham is now, he's going to have to save up some ERS here because he's actually now got only half the battery compared to Tom Martinez. Yeah,
he does only have half the battery. He's going to push hard though. He's going to throw everything at this to try and get the better of Tom Martinez. They're both members of the Veloci team, but they're not both esports drivers. And it's the man that isn't an esports driver that's at the head of the field here. And it really is an incredible story. And so we keep saying, and we will keep saying it, because it is absolutely unbelievable stuff here. With just 4 laps to go and a few miles, Tom Martinez is on the brink of making history here, and it really is something very, very special for the Ferrari driver. He hasn't put a foot wrong. He hasn't looked like putting a foot wrong. Even under pressure from Jake Benham, he is not buckling. Jake Benham is throwing the kitchen sink at this. Look at the battery, right down in the low 20s now. He's really throwing everything at Tom Martinez, and the content creator just is not buckling, Jack.
No, and look at that, he boosts away, and Benham's using all of his battery now, but Martinez is answering the challenge each and every time they come across the line here. It will basically at the moment take a penalty from Martinez for him to lose this race, and Benham is having to work super hard for this one versus Tom Martinez, who was out front in Tier 1, showing these guys how it's done, how you do strategies, and that brilliant call behind the safety car has put him in a wonderful position now to try and secure a first ever victory in this WOR Tier 1.
What a story it would be. Alessio Di Capua has gone backwards there. I don't know what's happened to him, and there we go. Down the inside goes Louis Welch. The pad cod makes a move, and he's up into 13th place. So backwards going Di Capua in that car. So it's not going well for him. In fact, he's pulling over. He's letting everyone go. His race must be pretty much over, and the yellow flag's out because of that as he lets everyone cruise by. As we go back to the front, and Benham is now right there. He's as close as he's ever been, almost pushing Tom Martinez through the hairpin. But the good news is Martinez has got enough to defend with. He's got plenty of ERS. Jake Benham draining it down into the teens now. Unbelievable stuff. Martinez still in the mid-40s here with the ERS battery deployment. Look at Benham flinging it into the final chicane, trying everything to put Tom Martinez off, and he's now got a run, a slight run, not a big enough run though, as he closes to within a couple of tenths, locking up the fronts, going into the corner, and look, he's now pushing Tom Martinez. They almost touch through turn 2. This is crazy, Jack.
This is mental. De Cap was out of the race down at the bottom. I think he's pulled it into pit lane to retire that car, we hope, as there's just 3 laps left in the race. To Martinez to hang on, but Benham's on the attack here, and only 20% of the battery still available for Jake Benham to go on the attack here, but he's making good use of it. He's using his youth now to chase after Tom Martinez here, but Martinez is answering the call and is keeping everyone on the edge of their seats here in Canada. 2 laps to go across the line. Again, he opens the gap out slightly to half a second, but he cannot afford to put a foot wrong because Jake Benham is right behind him, but no battery to really challenge.
Yeah, Benham is just so quick though, going into that hairpin. He's so much braver than Tom Martinez in there, but Tom can afford to just hover on the apex and just blast out of there, and he does so once again. Jake Benham now into single digits on that ERS management. He is throwing everything at Tom Martinez, and no matter what he throws, Tom Martinez, the content creator, has the answer. We're about to move on to the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix, and still Tom Martinez looks pretty safe. He looks like he's got it covered, Jack. Astonishing.
Yeah, I can't believe he's hanging on to this one. This is just unbelievable from Tom Martinez, and he just doing the business out here in Canada. 2 laps left, a lap and a half to go for Tom Martinez, and he answering this call brilliantly from Jake Benham, the challenge from Jake Benham, but he's not putting a foot wrong. There's nothing Jake Benham can do about it at the minute, and the gap opens up once again, using the battery to good effect down the back straight, and Martinez only has a lap and a quarter left. He needs to keep between the white lines, and he will have a famous victory lining up here in WOR. 1 more lap to go across the line. Martinez might just do it.
He might just do it, and we're being told to shush in the chat. We cannot curse this. We cannot curse this. It's absolutely unbelievable. Tom Martinez is still in the lead of this race. This, at the minute, is right up there in all my years of commentating, of all the league races I've seen and covered, as one of the best performances ever by a driver for me against this field. It is astonishing. Moving up from Tier 2 tonight, Tom Martinez with various absences, and this is how to take your chance. We are on the final lap now of the Canadian Grand Prix, and yes, if you're just tuning in, if you're just coming back from wherever you were, look at your screen. Tom Martinez is genuinely in the lead of this Grand Prix. He's now opened the gap out to a second to his Veloci compatriot, Jake Benham. This is the stuff of dreams. This is the stuff of legend from Tom Martinez. He just needs to keep it on the island, keep it away from any corner cuts for just a couple of corners more, a couple of miles more, and Tom Martinez in the Ferrari will take a stunning victory. The Ferrari mechanics move off and out of the garage and onto the pit wall, ready to greet their man, ready to greet Tom Martinez as he now makes his way through the hairpin. And now the fans get onto their feet down there now and applaud what is going to be one of the greatest results in WOR history, potentially in league racing history, potentially ever of all time. Here he comes then, Tom Martinez, with everyone greeting him and ready as he makes his way through the final chicane. He's finally got through it. He's going to come to the line, and Tom Martinez incredibly wins the Canadian Grand Prix in WOR. It's the biggest shot in league racing history, Jack.
Wow. What? No more man that is deserving of. Martinez takes the victory. He held his nerve. Jake Benham gave it everything. He had no answer though in the end, and superb. He deserves every single bit of that. I know he'll be delighted with that.
I'm applauding. I'm sorry, I'm applauding. It's absolutely sensational. Driver of the day, Samuel Bean, your drunk game. Driver of the day is that man. It is that man. It's incredible. It's Tom Martinez. He's won the race. He's won the Canadian Grand Prix. What a performance. What a move on Jake Benham to get the win. He didn't luck into it. He had to work for it. He started outside the top 10, and he is the winner here. What a performance. The champagne is quite rightly sprayed. I might have to go and get him a bottle of champagne and deliver it to his house himself. It's that impressive. It's that good, Jack. Look at that result. Look at those standings. It really did just happen. It's not a misprint. Tom Martinez has just won the Canadian Grand Prix. Wow. Are you there, Jack? Have you gone? I think he's gone. I think he's gone. Well, that's a shame that we've lost Jack, but what a result that is. Look at that. Tom Martinez is your winner. He is your winner of this Canadian Grand Prix. Jake Benham from time and shooter in third position. We don't even have time to go through the order because who frankly cares about the rest of the order? What a finish to that race. What a performance that is for Tom Martinez. And we can now go to the podium interviews. I'll try and get him in. As I said, folks, it is the first time I have had to commentate. First time I've had to stream it. So I'm going to try and get him in. I'd love to chat to him. It would be epic if we could. So we're just going to have to stand by and see if it will be possible to get him. But what a result for that Grand Prix. What a finish. He done it. Tom Martinez has just won that race. He's just won that race, folks. Unbelievable. What a performance from Tom Martinez. The victory is his here in Canada. One of the greatest performances I've ever seen. What a move it was on Jake Benham as well to get that victory. Absolutely incredible. What a race. Fantastic from start to finish. Action aplenty. And Tom Martinez from outside the top 10 in qualifying has managed to go on and win the WOR Grand Prix here in Canada, beating his Veloci compatriot Jake Benham with a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful move. I cannot believe it. Tom Martinez is the victor. And, Jake Benham, he might, in the end, finish this Grand Prix second. He will, though, extend his championship lead by quite a margin with Noah Alvaro-Carreton tonight. So, despite the fact he's been beaten by Tom Martinez tonight, he can dust himself down and walk away with pride because he extends his championship lead after that one. Jack has left us. He had to leave a little bit sharp. He won't be here for the interviews. If there is any interviews, I'm just hanging around waiting here, folks. Hopefully we will get a word with someone somewhere in a few moments' time, but it doesn't look likely. I'd love to chat to Tom Martinez. I think everyone in here that's listening and watching would love to chat to Tom Martinez. An incredible race. What a move it was. And I don't know what you guys think in the chat, but for me, that's probably one of the greatest upsets in top level, top tier league racing ever. It really is. It's magnificent. I've seen people win from the back in my time, win from the midfield. He's just won from the midfield himself, and he's meant to be in tier 2, and he's just taken that to the esports drivers and delivered. What an incredible performance from Tom Martinez. It doesn't look like at the minute that we're going to get him joining us for an interview. As you can probably tell, I'm just holding back here to see if we can get him, but there's no sign of it at the minute. So I think we'll leave it there, folks. What a race it has been. What a Grand Prix. And it's Tom Martinez that walks away the victor of this race. I'm losing my voice here. It was incredible, and he has stunned everyone in the league racing community. He's turned the whole league racing community form book inside out and upside down. Well, that's it. Congratulations to Tom Martinez. I'm Veen Gingeradi. I've been joined in commentary throughout by the brilliant Jack Kinnan. It was a fantastic race to cover. Hopefully we will have George Morgan back next week to help out with the streaming things, because I tell you what, I've got no idea how to do it. I'm glad we got through it in the end, and it was worth it. We had a show and a fantastic victory for Tom Martinez in the end. But that's all from us. Be sure to join us again for round number 5 of the championship coming up next week. This season is the season that just keeps on giving. Congratulations to Tom Martinez, your winner of the Canadian Grand Prix. Goodbye.